Hey there, movie lovers and curious souls. Welcome back to Movie Recaps Hub. I'm Doolin, and today I've got a cinematic roller coaster for you. Imagine late-night, high-speed chases through Paris, an unlikely friendship that defies all odds, and moments that'll make you laugh, cry, and even question life. Yup, I'm talking about the 2011 masterpiece, The Intouchables. Before we kick off, a quick heads up. This episode is packed with spoilers, so if you haven't seen the film yet, proceed with caution. All right, let's jump right into it. Picture this. It's a late night in Paris. Driss is at the wheel, driving his employer, Philippe, through the city. Bored with slow traffic, Driss decides to shake things up. He breaks the speed limit, dodges other cars, and completely ignores traffic signs. To add some extra spice to the night, he bets €100 that he can lose the cops chasing him. But, as you'd expect, the chase takes an unexpected turn. After a daring drive under a bridge, the police ambush the car from both sides. Now, instead of panicking, Driss ups the stakes. He bets €200 that he can get the cops to escort them. With cool confidence, Driss steps out, acting offended and claiming that Philippe is immobile and needs hospital care. The officers notice a wheelchair in the trunk, and when they see Philippe convulsing, yes, all an act, they're convinced. Concluding it's a real emergency, they forgive the speeding and even offer to escort them to the hospital. And what's Driss's celebration move? He cranks up September by Earth, Wind and Fire, shares a quick smoke with Philippe, and speeds off just before the hospital staff can catch up. Talk about living on the edge! Now, let's rewind a bit. The bond between Driss and Philippe didn't spark overnight. Months earlier, Philippe and his assistant, Magali, were conducting lackluster interviews to find a new caretaker. Enter Driss, who storms in, not even applying for the job, but just to grab some papers confirming his unsuccessful application for unemployment benefits. With his straightforward, a bit rude approach, and even a cheeky attempt at flirting with Magali, Philippe finds him so amusing that he asks Driss to come back the next day just for that signature. Switching scenes, we get a glimpse into Driss's daily life. Back in his humble neighborhood, he's barely managing a bath while his little siblings bug him non-stop. His older sister Mina helps him out, but even then, drama follows. Through the window, he notices his brother Adama getting out of a suspicious car. Later, when his mom finally shows up, Driss tries to cover up his 6-month disappearance by claiming he'd been on vacation, and even gifts her a stolen Fabergé egg. Needless to say, his mom isn't having any of it. She kicks him out, leaving him to spend the night hanging out with neighborhood friends, smoking and snacking. The very next day, Driss returns to Philippe's place for those signature papers and finds so much more. He's greeted by Yvonne, the housekeeper, who gives him an exclusive tour of the mansion. He even gets to see his very own room with a private bathroom. But here's the kicker. Instead of simply handing back his papers, Philippe offers him a 1-month trial as his caretaker. Philippe even jokes, "I bet you won't last 2 weeks," setting the tone for their unconventional partnership. Driss is thrown into a crash course of caregiving. He learns how to keep Philippe's legs stimulated, how to put him into the wheelchair, and even how to help him shower and change clothes. Things get awkward when he finds out he's expected to put on high stockings and clean Philippe's behind after he uses the bathroom. Despite all his complaints, Driss slowly accepts these tasks as part of the job. Later on, while enjoying a snack on the rooftop, Driss is interrupted by Philippe's daughter, Elisa, and her boyfriend, Bastien, who are looking for a private spot to make out. Driss isn't having it and promptly ejects them from his beer-induced little party. As the days pass, Driss starts adapting to his new responsibilities, even if he makes a few rookie mistakes here and there, like accidentally handing Philippe the phone instead of holding it to his ear, or forgetting the baby monitor during a bath. He even organizes Philippe's mail into folders, carefully opening most letters. Fun fact, when he stumbles upon a flyer for female escorts, he starts his very own escort file instead of tossing it out, as Philippe told him. Outside of work, life is still a wild ride for Driss. He keeps trying to hit on Magali, though of course without much success, and occasionally calls escorts for a bit of excitement. One morning, after Yvonne finds some dangerous weapons in his bag, Driss continues his day unfazed. When driving Philippe around, Driss refuses to treat him like cargo in a back-of-a-van scenario, opting instead for a fancy car. Philippe initially grumbles about practicality, but soon he's enjoying the thrill of the faster ride, even if Yvonne disapproves. An unexpected encounter with a neighbor who parks in the entrance zone leads Driss to confront the guy by grabbing his shirt and demanding the car be moved. Philippe's impressed by his bold actions, while Yvonne shakes her head in disapproval. The duo's adventures continue as they visit a museum. Here, Philippe contemplates buying a piece of artwork that Driss dismisses as just a red blotch on the canvas. Soon after, Philippe meets with a relative who voices concerns about Driss's temper, mentioning his criminal record and potential for violence. But Philippe is steadfast. He values Driss's genuine nature and his refusal to be pitied. One memorable dinner finds Driss and Yvonne in the kitchen as Philippe dictates a letter to Magali. Claiming it's a private conversation, Yvonne switches off the baby monitor and explains that Philippe has been pen pals with a mysterious woman named Eleonore. Letters Driss isn't allowed to read. Later, while Driss settles in for the night, strange sounds on the baby monitor alert him to Philippe having trouble breathing. Driss rushes over, gently guides him through what seems like an attack with soothing words and a wet cloth. Even when Philippe wakes up, gasping for air, Driss doesn't hesitate. He wraps him in blankets, moves him into his wheelchair, and takes him for a peaceful, reflective stroll along the river. During that late-night ride, Philippe opens up about his phantom pain, the limited pleasure and intimacy due to his condition, and even confesses about the surprising satisfaction he finds in something as simple as an ear massage. When the phantom pain looms again, Driss shares one of his joints with him, an act that, despite initial skepticism, Philippe comes to appreciate. On another day, over dinner at a restaurant, Philippe divulges more about his past. He recounts how he met his wife when they were students, how they married, faced 5 miscarriages, and eventually adopted his daughter, Elisa. Philippe also shares his passion for extreme sports like paragliding, even though a wild paragliding session resulted in a crash that broke his vertebrae. Yet, he insists that his real handicap isn't his wheelchair. It's living without his wife. Before the evening wraps up, Philippe reminds Driss that his 1-month trial has officially passed, making him the permanent caretaker. However, Philippe also insists that Driss return the stolen Fabergé egg, a cherished gift his late wife gave him every year, of which he owns exactly 25, marking the years they spent together. The next day, Driss checks in with his older sister Mina, who's clearly offended by his lack of communication, especially as she's rushing off from school. Meanwhile, she fills him in on how cops have been calling at their home. Driss also visits his brother, Adama, who nonchalantly admits that he was caught with 30 grams of something suspicious. Driss offers to take him out to lunch, but Adama declines and retreats into the mystery of his own world. Later, Driss is even present when Philippe dictates another letter to Eleanor to Magali. Finding the flowery purple prose a tad boring, Driss can't help but be surprised when he discovers that despite a 6-month correspondence, Philippe and Eleanor have never exchanged pictures. Spotting her phone number on one of the letters, Driss decides to call her, an act that finally prompts Philippe to truly interact with her over the phone. Even during an opera, where Driss can't resist laughing at the extravagant costumes. The very next day, Driss convinces Philippe to start exchanging pictures with Eleanor, even choosing one of Philippe in his wheelchair. But the day isn't without drama. While Driss is painting, Elisa bursts into his room asking for cigarettes and mocking his artistic ambitions. Enraged, Driss kicks her out and later finds Philippe in a conversation with Yvonne about swapping out an old picture of Philippe from before his accident with a more flattering one. In a twist, Yvonne even hides that picture within the escort file before Driss vents his frustration, complaining that Philippe really needs to discipline Elisa. And in an unexpected revelation, Philippe is taken aback when Driss admits that he's been painting all along. Days turn into weeks, and the friendship between Philippe and Driss blossoms in the most unexpected ways. Driss takes Philippe to play in the snow, goes out for a run, even gets him his very first suit, and sometimes scolds Elisa through the baby monitor. And when Driss finishes his first painting, he proudly shows it to Magali, only to get a slap when he tries to kiss her. Yet Philippe is enamored by the painting and promises he'll try to sell it, marking a small but significant victory for the duo. They share countless adventures, enjoying the thrill of a faster car, sharing joints, and even hiring escorts together. On Philippe's birthday, he pretends to be surprised by the party thrown by his relatives, a day he dubs rather boring, while secretly enjoying the live classical music. At the same time, Driss searches for Elisa, who's overwhelmed with emotion after taking some of Yvonne's pills following a breakup. Elisa begs Driss to smooth things over with Bastien, her ex, urging him to demand daily croissants and a fixed hairstyle as part of the apology. In a remarkable turn of events, Philippe manages to sell one of Driss's paintings for 11,000 euros to a relative, proof that art can indeed change lives. As the evening winds down, Philippe has Driss listen to some of the most iconic classical tunes ever composed. Not one to be subtle, Philippe then blasts Boogie Wonderland on his iPod and takes to the dance floor. He dances like nobody's watching. So infectious is his energy that soon everyone is joining in, creating a moment that's both hilarious and heartwarming. Later, as Driss puts Philippe to bed, he opens the latest letter from Eleanor. She sent her picture, along with an invitation to meet up the following week when she's in Paris. On the day of that date, Yvonne and Driss work together to sort through dozens of outfits to find the perfect one for Philippe. Meanwhile, Driss spends his day off tracking down Bastien and in his unique style forces him to apologize to Elisa, complete with daily croissants and a request for better hair. Driss even takes a moment to quietly admire his mom at work, from afar, keeping his distance but always watching. Back at the restaurant, Yvonne and Philippe wait for Eleanor, who is running incredibly late. After an hour of waiting, Philippe loses patience, calls Driss to whisk him away, and leaves the restaurant without noticing that Eleanor had just arrived. That same night, In a show of genuine camaraderie, Philippe takes Driss aboard his private plane. On their way to the countryside the next morning, Philippe hands Driss the money he earned from selling that painting, a gift that fills Driss with immeasurable happiness. And just when you'd think the day couldn't get any crazier, Philippe drags Driss along for a paragliding session. Though Driss initially freaks out, he eventually finds himself enjoying the adrenaline rush and the view of Paris from above. Returning home, Driss is met by Adama, who gives him a hard time about some scars on his face. Adama remains secretive about his own issues, so Driss makes him wait in his room while he takes a moment to call Mina and reassure her not to worry. Later that night, Philippe isn't quite ready for sleep. Instead, he shows Driss a painting and asks about his family. At first, Driss is reluctant, but eventually, he opens up about his past. He reveals that Adama isn't even his real brother. His so-called parents are actually his aunt and uncle from Senegal. They rescued him when he was just 8 because they couldn't have children of their own. His birth name is Bakary Bassari, but since other kids already had that name, they started calling him Idris, eventually evolving into Driss. And if that wasn't enough drama, he shares that one day his aunt miraculously conceived, and after his uncle passed away, life took on even more complexity with new partners and siblings entering the picture. In a parallel to how he'd been so candid about Elisa, Philippe, ever the caring soul, points out that Adama needs discipline. And with that, Philippe makes the tough call. He fires Driss so that Driss can finally devote himself to his own family. The very next morning, after Bastien shows up with his daily croissant, sporting a better hairdo, Driss packs his bags and prepares to leave. As Magali comes by to say her goodbyes, Driss makes one last feeble attempt to flirt, but Magali introduces him to her significant other, Fred, short for Frederic. With that, Driss concedes, knowing his romantic pursuits have run their course. As he walks out, Driss returns the baby monitor to Yvonne, teasing her about her fib concerning Magali. In return, Yvonne hands him back the escort file he had started, but he's disappointed to find that the picture he had chosen is hidden within it. Driss tosses the file aside, but keeps the photo for himself as a bittersweet memento. Even after he's officially off duty, Driss can't help but maintain his principles. When he encounters a car blocking the entrance, he isn't afraid to tell them to move it, even though he no longer works there. And when Adama calls him out for it, Driss simply replies, "It's a matter of principle." A few hours later, Driss and Adama head off to pick up their mother at the station. While back at the mansion, Philippe endures his first dinner with his new, stuffy, boring caretaker. Philippe ends up leaving without even tasting his meal. Thankfully, with Yvonne off on a date with the gardener, time passes, and Driss gradually slits back into his old life. He reconnects with his old friends, even giving the guys from that shady car a piece of his mind about bothering Adama. At an interview, with his newfound confidence and art knowledge from working with Philippe, Driss introduces himself as pragmatic and lands himself a job as a driver. Meanwhile, Philippe continues to grumble about his new caretaker, his mood perpetually sour. One fateful night, when Philippe stubbornly refuses help for his phantom pain, Yvonne calls Driss back in, a full-circle moment echoing that wild police chase from the beginning of our story. After that little adventure, Driss drives Philippe to the coast. There, the calming view of the sea helps ease Philippe's troubled mind. Sometime later, Driss even tends to Philippe's overgrown beard before taking him to a restaurant for lunch. Driss doesn't stick around too long. Someone else is set to keep Philippe company. With a final farewell, Driss hands back the Fabergé egg, and Philippe, now worried about being alone, is greeted by a very special sight. His date, Eleanor, who welcomes him with genuine delight. No judgment about the wheelchair at all. In a heartwarming epilogue, we learn that the real Count Philippe Pozzo de Borgo now lives in Morocco, remarried and blessed with 2 daughters, while the real Driss, actually named Abdel Yasmin Selou, runs his own firm and is happily married with 3 children. Even with their wildly different life paths, the friendship between these 2 remarkable men endures to this day. So there you have it, a wild, heartfelt, and at times hilarious journey through the world of the Intouchables. From late-night escapades in Paris to deeply personal revelations and epic goodbyes, this film reminds us that true friendship can bloom from the most unexpected beginnings. If you enjoyed this deep dive recap, please give this video a thumbs up. Drop your thoughts and favorite moments in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to Movie Recaps Hub for more captivating film breakdowns. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I can't wait to see you next time.